What's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of the PG Sports Podcast. Our special guest today is Alex Nemo.
What it
Yeah,
do?
what's up?
What's popping?
So
What's
how's
popping,
everything
man?
going?
You know,
Where you in Florida, right?
different times we're in, but we're good,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, definitely. You're in Florida, right?
Yes, sir, holding it down
Uh,
in the ghetto of the U.S. because that's how Florida looks when you're watching the news to everybody else.
yeah. So
It's like,
what?
what's
Yeah,
going on in Florida?
yeah. That's what I want to know. What's going on in Florida? You guys are half open.
Hey, man, I ain't going nowhere.
All right,
Look,
good.
I don't
I
care
ain't
what's
me either.
open. I don't care
Yeah,
what's open. I'm chilling. I'm gonna stay in the crib. And I'm gonna do what I do best, and I'm not worried. You know, I go out for the essentials. I come back. I
yeah.
have my mask. I got my mask over here somewhere, and then yeah, that's it. But I ain't. We ain't going out right now. I'll let the rest of Florida go out and then kind of explore. When I see like, people running back home because they sick, I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I think it's a little of a test too, just to see what people are gonna do.
Right. But I get it. You know, what I'm saying Mother's Day is approaching and
Mhm.
businesses are struggling, so I understand. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I mean, let's just go right into it. So how'd you start Foolies?
All right, cool. So, for people who don't know, my name is Alex Nemo Hans, CEO of Foolies. Foolies is a clothing company, T-shirt line, more specifically, where our goal is to focus on people who are so crazy and so ambitious to live out their goals and dreams that they're called fools for doing so. So we started this about 9 years ago. It was with me and my brother of another mother and skin color. Um, and our thought process and our goal was I was a rapper at the time, so I was trying to be the next Big Sean or be the next Kanye or whatever the goal was back then.
Mhm.
And I'm saying the idea was like, hey, if we make a T-shirt line, that makes sense. If you're a rapper, you want to actually be having something that people can buy and gravitate towards. But we always thought what we were doing were foolish. We were college kids, right? Trying to build something dynamic, but it's like y'all in college, right? Like y'all need to be focusing on like, the higher education and getting out of here and getting a great job. But we were like, man, we have so many different ambitions that we want to chase after. So, we just wanted to do this clothing thing because we were like, rappers have clothing lines, and I had to understand too, while researching how to build a fan base, they always said wrap your audience around an identity. So I was like, Foolies is perfect because Foolies are people who are like, I'm crazy to go after these dreams, and that's why I'm going after them because they're so wild and off the chain. So, that's kind of like the heart, kind of how I kind of started things and got into the movement.
Yeah, it's dope. Like what was like your first T-shirt design?
One, it was trash.
Aren't they all the firsts, right?
We just ironed the word Foolies, man, on a shirt, man. It was
Mhm.
like one of those like laser inkjet printers
Yeah,
from like Wally World or whatever. And we got like the printing paper. And so we like put the word Foolies. It was like it almost looked like Supreme, but ours
gotcha.
was black, like the black bar and then Foolies across it. There was no purpose of the font. Like we wasn't really thinking through anything. But what we would do is, I call it the Damon John effect. What we would do is we would get a shirt, put it on a homie, take a photo, have him take it off, and then go put it on
Yeah,
somebody else. Take a photo, take it off. And we were trying to make the brand look bigger than what it was because we wanted people to buy it, but we just didn't know if they would. And when I would, perform at shows, I opened up for Big Crit and Currency once, if people know who those guys are.
yeah,
And, I wore the shirt, you know what I'm saying? So I would try to like maneuver it as much as I can and put it on homeboys and homegirls as much as I could.
gotcha. Your first shirt sounds a little better than mine because mine was just literally I made it in like paint, like, and it was just a
Oh,
font.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about
Hey,
tell
man.
me a little bit? You said you started in '09, right?
Yeah, about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
What is it, 2020s, 2011-ish, I guess, if we're doing math right. 2010-ish, 2011-ish. So it was a different space.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about how has social media like changed and like impacted your brand.
So if we're being honest, I actually did not like Instagram. I thought it was stupid. I was like, man, like what's the point of like people posting their lives and like their food and what they're eating?
Yeah.
And my boy, one of my good friends of mine's, he decided to. He was like, I'm gonna make an Instagram account for you. You know what I'm saying? He's my boy of mine. And he was like, I'm gonna make an Instagram account for you. And when I say friend, I mean he's like a brother to me. So he was like, I got you. And he started, posting pictures to the page and like getting, anytime somebody sent photos, I would send it to him and he would post it. And then one day I kind of sat down. I was like, what is this Instagram thing? So I sat down and I looked at the terrain, if you will, right? And just was like, what's going on here? And I was like, yo, this is a really big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you telling me everybody's in this spot and celebrities are here. And like, I remember I was one of those first people who got on Twitter and everybody was like, yo, Twitter is stupid. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. And I was like, hold on, let me look at Instagram with the same eye that I looked at Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Because there could be something big here and I don't want to miss out on it. And so I just noticed and I was like, yeah, let me get that Instagram account up off you. So I took it and I was like, yo, I already see what's about to happen here. And we about to go off, right? Because I'm like, okay, cool. Everybody's accessible. Everybody's in this space. I can reach out to anybody. One of the first people who like first models who wore my shirt, she was this chick out of like India. And I didn't even know she was from India. I just started looking up the hashtag fashionistas. And then as I saw it, this girl popped up. She was, she was really dope at the time. And she's still dope now. She probably doesn't even remember me, but she was still dope. And I DM'd her. I was like, hey, I got this clothing brand. One of our signature shirts said "Dream Without Limits" on it. So I was like, hey, I want to send this to you, blah, blah, blah. So I told her, email me your address. And when she emailed me her address, like, I don't know if you guys have ever mailed to foreign people before, but like there's a different setup of the address. It's like address, the dot, and then it's like all these like numbers and like all this other stuff that goes along with it. And I was like, yo, this don't sound like the US. She was like, yeah, I'm in India. And I was like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? And then that also was another wheel that said, yo, in one DM, I connected with somebody from a whole nother country because of a hashtag.
Yeah.
And now I'm shipping my apparel off to somebody in India. Like, that's wild. And you know what? I'm in a good space, right? Like with this social media thing, I do not want to back down from it because if I could make that connection, and this was like year one of Foolies, I'm like, oh, man, I gotta be able to see this through because I already know what's about to happen next. So that was kind of like one of those first movements made of like, yo, this social media thing, this is huge.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I even had trouble sometimes sending it to foreign country, like looking it up on Google. It's just like hard to.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I sure I'm writing this right?
Right. And the crazy thing is, tracking only works up until it gets to customs.
Yeah.
After customs, you get no more tracking. So I was like, that's weird. You know what I'm saying? So like, I won't even know if this made it to them, right? You know what I'm saying? So it was really just a shot in the dark, and it was amazing, man. She had a photographer. She went out and did some shoots with herself, with some of her friends, like one of her friends, and she got it back to me. The pictures were amazing, and it was just like really cool. And it also started to show me too, like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it, but at some point I have to introduce photography as far as like aesthetically pleasing shots into the brand, because when she started to do her thing and send me stuff, it did give me another tick and another just like love. And I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So photography matters, right? Your imaging matters, how you're setting up your shoots and those things matter. But, I wouldn't really be able to dig in until years later.
Yeah. I definitely feel you on that. What about like, I think I read something, there was like, I think it was like one t-shirt that like somebody wore, and then I think that was like one of your bigger things too. I'm not sure who it was.
Yeah, so let me make sure I'm reading it right, because I don't want to misquote the shirt at all, because there's a lot of names on it. So the shirt he's referencing, we have a shirt that's called the Be Inspired Tee. And the Be Inspired Tee was a tee we made to honor dope Black women in Hollywood. That was our goal. So giving y'all the abbreviated, storyline, I didn't feel like Black women were getting the love and attention that they deserved. And so I said, I really want to make something that honors them. I really want to make something that uplifts them. But I didn't know it was going to be a shirt. At the time, I started to create more content because I wanted to, me and my COO, we sat down and we said, are we willing to inspire people even when we're not selling t-shirts?
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that really hit us. And I said, you know what? It's bigger than just t-shirts. I really want to support people. I really want to lift people up, regardless of if we're selling tees. So that's when we started getting into a more rhythmic flow of just making content, right? Just inspiration, then t-shirt, maybe a video, then t-shirt, and not just only t-shirts. So my original post, it was a graphic that said, it didn't have all the girls' names on it at first, but I'll just read all of the girls' names on the shirts. It said, be strong like Regina, be fierce like Taraji, write like Shonda, shine like Lupita, deliver like Uzo, speak like Viola, A's like Angela, rule like Queen, walk like Carrie, lead like Ava. And if you're in the Black community or Black and Brown community, or you have any just idea of what's going on in that space, those Black women in Hollywood are some of the most dynamic and prolific women. Not the only, but just definitely some pioneers in the young space, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to honor people who've lost, right? It's easy to honor MLK or, you know, a Rosa Parks or a Thurgood Marshall because, you know, they've already built that legacy. But I thought, what if we honored people who are walking legends, right? What if we honored people who are still here today, rocking, doing their thing, and trying to put on for the community? And so we dropped that as a graphic. It wasn't a t-shirt. Ended up going viral. This really dope lady named Levia Ajayi reached out to me, and she said she's like a huge social media influencer. So she reached out to me and she said, hey, you need to make this into a shirt. We got on Teespring and made it into a shirt. And think, you know, we've sold maybe a couple hundreds of that shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And that shirt helped me make like 10K off of just that shirt alone. And like just the energy that it brought in. And that shirt helped me get in Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It. That shirt got me featured on Essence and on Network during a really huge event called Black Women in Hollywood, which I didn't even know there was an event called Black Women in Hollywood until I dropped the shirt. And then the Essence team reached out to me and was like, hey, we'd like to get a couple of those shirts to actually showcase at the event. And then they put them on these young girls who were singing at the final stage of the event. These girls were all on stage with my apparel on. While that was dope, the big issue was my logo for that tee was on the back.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, yo, they got my shirt on, but who knows, right? Like the logo's on the back. There's no way to identify that's me. But one of the young ladies on the shirt, her name is Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes writes for How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, and a lot of the dope programming that we see that have, you know, strong Black leads in them. And she actually tweeted, or you know how Instagram can go to Twitter, so she actually posted to Instagram and it went to Twitter that, hey, this is the guy who made the shirts and tagged me. And so literally, man, like I've never had my mention so destroyed, like the whole night. Like just bing, bling, 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 like just comments like, where's this shirt? I need it now. Take my money. So it was a phenomenal experience. But it really showed me the importance of really focusing on your niche and focusing on your audience and not trying to, I get the want to appeal to everybody. I think that's very heartwarming to want to appeal to everybody, but you can't, right? When you're building your brand, you do have to say, this is for this person, right? Like this is for this demographic. This is for this audience. Because what that audience will do is they'll get it to the other audiences. So you're not alienating anyone. You're just kind of dialing in. So when I write content, when I make copy, you know, saying to be posted to my page, when we're designing anything, I'm thinking of a young Black woman between, you know, maybe 18 to 24, maybe 26. And, you know, she's a multimedia journalist. She graduated from an HBCU. She got her master's from a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution. And for those who don't know, HBCU is a historically Black college or university. You know, she loves going to Target. You know, she's had, you know, a good home, right? Both mom and dad. So she's making this much. Like, we have her broken down. Her name's Michelle. Like, so when I'm making content, I'm thinking about Michelle, right? I'm thinking about
Mm-hmm.
that lady, right? I'm thinking about that girl who we're talking to with our brand. Now, because of what we do, it hits other people. So other people still get the impact. But we had to really focus on our niche, and I had to really tie in my demographic. And then, if you want to go look up what psychographics are, that's
Mm-hmm.
another aspect of marketing that really allows you to hone in on who that person is, what that voice is, what that audience member is really saying.
Yeah, definitely. What year was that you made that T-shirt? Or
That was, if I'm not mistaken, 2015, 2016. We ended up on Essence.
okay.
2017 was 2017, Gary? No, it might have been 20, like somewhere around that 2015, 2016. I
Okay.
know 2018 was when we got the Gary V feature, so I think it was 2017 was it the Essence, or it was like, it's between that like space of like 2016,
I
2018.
gotcha. All right. What about, was there any did you get in any like legal trouble for like using the people's names or no?
I didn't. I think social media is just a very forgiving space. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think social media is they just like championing things, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in that
I know
space of,
sometimes it just gets like a little weird. Like sometimes it depends, but that's why I
yeah,
had
I
to ask.
think I think I think it all depends on your heart behind what you're doing, right? Some people
Mhm.
do things only to make money.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think people who have followed my brand for the last, 9 years, and people who have known me for 10 years or more, I think they've all seen me go hard for Black women or hard for the culture. I think they've seen me love on people, right? I think they've seen me, um, I think they've seen me pray for them. I think they've seen me, help them in tough times. They've helped me in tough times. So I think there was a different relationship with like me and my social media, kind of influence that was happening. And the time that the shirt happened was at a very important time, because it was when Viola Davis got, I think, her first Emmy, and Regina King got her first Emmy, or a daytime Emmy, or whatever the case was. And those two women, or prior to, we were going through like the Oscars so wide, and how like they're, not giving, African Americans just their props in this acting space. And it dropped the morning after her big speech, Viola and Regina's big speech, and them winning their Emmys. So timing is important, right? I think if
Yeah.
that shirt would have dropped at any other time, it wouldn't have made sense. But with everything happening in the world, and then it was, I think how the internet took it was like, yo, finally these people are getting the props they deserve, right?
Yeah.
Like if I make a shirt right now that says like LeBron and Jordan and that, like those people have been getting their props,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's like, yo, I need a LeBron shirt just to talk about how iconic he is. Those people have gotten the recognition. But I was honoring people who got overlooked,
Mm-hmm.
and who got, shafted several times, and who weren't getting the best pay, or who weren't getting the opportunities, right? So prayerfully, you know what I'm saying, I don't know, what God had in mind, but hopefully God almost even used that shirt as a means to be like, yo, these ladies are dynamic, right? And they're already killing the game. So hopefully that shirt kind of infused into the culture, all the people who bought, and kind of planted that seed like, hey, we need to honor these people, while they're still here. And, those women on the shirt have still been doing nothing but killing the game since.
Yeah.
Like, they're even bigger and better than they were when I dropped that shirt. So in my mind too, my heart was, I hope they see this, right? And some of them have, right? Because some of the people on the shirt have posted it, some people from other shirts and installments that we've done after it have asked for the shirt and said, hey, send our team some of these things. So I think that moment of being honored when that audience of Black women was constantly being overlooked was just super important.
So my question is, have you got any of the shirts to the women that were actually on the shirt?
The first shirt, not so much, but
Mhm.
we've had like second and third and fourth installments of the shirt, and
Yeah.
we've had one or two people from different shirts reach out and connect with us and say, hey, send us some things or whatnot. So, in
That's
those situations too, they probably can't commit to wearing it per se, because they probably
mhm.
got brand deals and endorsements and stuff.
Mhm.
But the fact that I know that some of those women on different shirts reached out and said, hey, I want this, is really cool, or at least their agents or their team
Yeah.
reached out and said, hey, we'd love to get this. And then I've had some people who are really dope. And what they've done is they've known like maybe one of those people were going to speak at an event that they happen to have it at like their high school, not high school, but their college or maybe in their city. And I've had friends and even just people who I've never met before. I've had friends on social media, and, you know, friends, if you will, go to events where you know those people are going to be at and take a picture with the person while they have on that shirt.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
which
dope.
is also
Yeah.
super cool because that already told me they saw it, right? Like,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
probably they're like, hey, look at the shirt, I have it on, and they saw it.
yeah. Yeah.
So that is good enough for me. And I've actually had a situation where it was a small world, and one of my friends actually worked with one of the girls that I put on a third or fourth installment of the shirt.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the Be Strong, like it wasn't one of those shirts with the labels and the list, but I've been in a situation where my homegirl was like, hey, I don't know if you know, but this girl has your shirt in her office, right? So like those moments are cool for me, even if they're not wearing the product. The fact that they're there, they're in their labs, they've seen it. I've made posts, and some of the girls have commented in the comment section that are on the shirt. I was like, "Yo, that's fire!" You know, thank you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, cool.
Yeah. That's so. All right. Well, but I gotta ask you though, who would you want to wear it that's on the shirt? Like, which one? Like, out of all of them, you gotta pick one.
Oh man, that's tough. I've never been asked that.
That's what I'm here for. I need that exclusive.
Yeah, I've never been asked that before. That is a really good question. Ooh, that's not fair though, because I feel like if these girls see it, they're gonna be like, oh, so you ain't want me? You ain't want me on it? You ain't want
Nah,
me
you just
wearing
gotta drop one. You'll be like, well, what you call it is that's who I really want, but I'd love to wear them all wear it.
it? Yeah. Okay, so this is what we'll do. I'll actually screen grab this moment while I'm saying it, and then for you, for a quick
Don't worry.
second, turn off the
Don't
comments
worry.
because I want to be able. I want to be
All
able
right,
to
yeah.
like
Well,
say it, and if I end up chopping this up later, I want to be able to chop it up. If not, then no worries. I think if I had to have someone on this shirt, man, or have it wear the shirt, I think it would be Ava DuVernay. Um, Ava DuVernay is an amazing woman. Like I can't explain like her just like the God in her, you know what I'm saying? Like that I see and feel from her and the energy she emits to the world. But she is really, you know, I don't want to say up and coming. She's a director. She directed hold on, Selma. She directed the Netflix special about the men who were incarcerated who got locked up. Central 5, I believe the name was a documentary. She also did the documentary 13th, which talks about like, you know, what was going on with the 13th Amendment and all that stuff. And she's just a dynamic woman, man. Beautiful. She has locks in her hair. Like if you saw her, she's just absolutely gorgeous. I actually have let's see, hold on. Her pop doll is here somewhere. Oh no. Where is it? I have too many pop dolls.
she got her own.
Yeah. That's her pop doll.
Is that custom?
Nah, this is hers.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta tell me about those because I always see those. I just don't. What's the hype? What's the hype around them?
They're figurines or whatever. They're like bobbleheads, like back in the 90s.
Are they limited though? Like they come out and they're only like a certain amount made?
Some of them may be. Like this might be a limited one.
Yeah.
But like this woman is just iconic, man. And like if anybody could wear the shirt, I would really want her to. I've actually like sent it to like wherever her studio is and just kind of crossed my fingers, but you know, it's whatever. But yeah, man, she's a beast. And the cool thing about Ava, man, she became a director in her late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
She had never directed before. She had never, like, she didn't go to film school, right? She wasn't in the film industry per se. She was in the PR industry. And, you know, she just had a passion to want to make stories and make films that weren't being seen, right? And give audiences a hero that they didn't know they needed. And so she kind of came in and like really started like knocking on doors heavy and really said, you know what, I'm going to take a leap with less money, less opportunities, less everything. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make films that honor Black women, that honor Black men, that honor their stories, that honor who they are and what we are, our issues we've been through, the fights we fought, right? And that's so important to her. And she did it at 31. And those kind of stories inspire me, man, because even still, she got, I believe she's been nominated for a Golden Globes and like all kinds of stuff that has happened to her in her late 30s. Because a lot of times we think that when we hit our 30s or that we get to a point in our life where we're like, I can't do that anymore. And that's not possible. And, she's been a big advocate for really putting women of color on. She also directs, gosh, the show was slipping my mind. I'm going to Google it because we have Google. There's a show she directs. And she wanted to make sure that the cast was like all women, or at least like Black and brown women or women of just like, LGBTQ, the whole nine. So I just call it, it's not, is it Queen Sugar? So, she just was like, look, I'm going to hire women, right? I'm going to put Black women in the room. I'm going to put women in the room. I'm going to put women in writer roles, director roles. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just things that she's done, and she's done it unapologetically. And she, when the Colin Kaepernick situation was going on, she was standing up for him. Like, there's just things that this woman does, and she's true to her guns. And she's never, ever, ever, ever afraid from that. Not to say the other women haven't. But Ava is the last person on the shirt. It ends with lead like Ava. And there's just this leadership in her, and there's just something about her that's so dynamic and so powerful. So if I had to get anybody the shirt, it would definitely be, Ava DuVernay for sure. That's a good question, though.
Well, I think it'll happen now because I'll clip that. I'll clip that for you because I save all these and put them up on YouTube and stuff.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So tell me, how the Gary V, how did they reach out to you first, and how'd you get into the book?
Cool. So there was a season where I was just binging Gary's content so it's funny. One of my homeboys, I was asking him about branding and marketing tips and all that stuff. He said, hey, do me a favor. I was like, what's up? He said, there's this guy named Gary. Like, when I saw the name, I was like, Vaynerchuk? Like, what is that? Like, Vaynerchuk? Like, okay, whatever. So he's like, hey, there's this guy. He has a show called Ask Gary V. Go to episode 1 and don't stop watching. That's what he told me. So I was like, okay, I trust my boy. He's not going to steer me wrong. So I said, all right, episode 1. And when I saw this guy, I'm like, this brother's loud. This brother's in your face. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's cursing him. Like, when I saw it, I was like, yo, I don't know who this guy is, but he's going to be a problem, right? Because this is unfiltered entrepreneurship, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is not how entrepreneurs normally get down. He's in T-shirts. He's just doing something different. So I started watching 1, 2, 3. And I was picking up what he was putting down. 4, 5, 6. And I'm like, okay, cool. Then I'm watching speeches from him. And I'm watching other things from him. And you know how we all kind of fall into the Gary V trap, and you start just going through it all. But there was one video, because I was binging them all. I remember when he started Daily V, I was like, this Daily V, this is going to be a problem. Like, I knew that from episode 1, because I was literally there watching all the episodes, and I caught up to the point where he's like, you know what? I'm going to do a Daily V. You know how he gets in his bag. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to start showing people the behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Like, he started kind of getting into that bag. And I was like, oh, if he does this, I was like, oh, this is going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he started Daily V, and literally, boom, like, people were like, oh, so this guy is working, right? Because with Ask Gary V, it was dope, but I think what people didn't understand was how he got here and how much work he was doing. But there was a Ask Gary V where he said, hey guys, I have a book called Crush It. And I read that book. I read that book in my library at my school that I work at. And so he's in the book Crush It. A lot of the things I read was like, yo, this is me. this is me. Like, I've always thought about giving to others. I always thought about how we need to like be doing things from the heart and changing the world. Like, I've always had these big, crazy dreams, right? Being a foolie, right? Being foolish enough to do this thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this book sounds like I wrote it, right? This book sounds like me. It's like, finally somebody gets me. So then I saw his video that said, hey, if you read my book, Crush It, and it's impacted you in any way, let me know. Send me an email. If we like what we read, we will put you in our new book called Crushing It. So that was, I read his book. And then after I started being genuine to me and authentic to myself as I knew I should have been, that's when the Essence and Own Network features came. And that's when everything started taking off for me. Because that book helped me confirm what I already knew. So after I read that book, I was like, it's go time. Right? I was like, now that I have a book that confirms that I'm not crazy, it's time to really get in my bag. It's time to really go, get in that flow state, right? We're talking Kobe dropping 80, right? I need to be in that space, right? You know what I'm saying? So I got into that bag and I said, okay, everything started taking off because I started trusting myself, trusting my gut, trusting who I am, trusting my purpose. And then I sent the email. I was like, yo, Gary, my name's Nemo, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to, I think I was like one of the 48 or 49. I think he says he's going to put 49 people in the book. And I was like, here's what happened since I read your book. I made a shirt. That shirt took off. Now I'm on Essence and Own Network. I got featured, right, on their big platform. And all these things have been happening post reading your book. And, I would just love to be in there. I'd love to be a part of it in my book. In my book, Foolies Approved, I actually like screenshotted the actual like email that I wrote to them that got me featured inside the book.
Yeah, that's dope.
So then it was a minute. And then their team reached out to me later and was like, hey, I think we have something here. I think we want to interview you. They said, is it okay? And I want the audience to really tune into this. They said, is it okay if we interview you June 28th? I think it was like of 2016-ish. Yeah, 2016, 2017. I was like, perfect. June 28th is my birthday. Right? So I said, oh, this is definitely God. Like, you want to interview me on my birthday. When Gary V's team was interviewing me, I was hopping off of a plane and I was in New Orleans. I had my friends fund a trip to New Orleans because I wanted to go to Essence Fest. Essence Fest is like the hugest event Essence puts on. And it was my 30th birthday. And I wanted to just go to Essence Fest to try to meet some of the writers and people on the Essence team that actually was a part of featuring me on Black Women in Hollywood. Like, I really just wanted to go there and thank them. Bruh, I went there with no money. No place to stay. Nothing. My boy and my homies because on my birthday, I usually ask for $1. I've been doing it for years. And my homies funded the trip. And then when I got to New Orleans, I'm an Alpha, so I'm in a Black Greek letter organization for those who don't know. So Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So I ended up making some calls and found out a frat brother was like, "Oh, you could crash with me." So I was like, "Whoo, thank God!" Because when Gary V's team was interviewing me, I was standing in a hostel because I was like, I gotta check in somewhere for the night. So like, I'm gonna go stay in a hostel. I'm gonna figure this out. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got a couple dollars left. I'm gonna see what this hostel talking about. If I can negotiate, maybe like staying for half the price or something. Because I don't know if you guys been to hostels, kind of weird and earthy and like different. So I would have probably been in a room with like 4 or 5 people or something. But I was willing to do whatever it takes because I knew I wanted to be talking to whoever ran Essence or whatever was going on. But luckily, somebody came through. I crashed with them. And where I crashed with them, they were like 8 minutes away driving-wise from the place where Essence Fest was happening. And then when I got to Essence Fest, I was talking to a couple people, and this one girl threw me a badge and was like, "Hey, I know it's your 30th birthday. Happy birthday." And I was like, oh, snap. So, like, I had access to not get into everywhere, but I had access more than normal to get into spaces I wasn't supposed to be in. And then I had my camera. It was my first time I had my digital camera, my DSLR, my Sony. Shout out to Sony, best camera ever, whatever, right? Um, so I was acting like photography for the day. So at the end of every event, I would go to the front of the room and say, "All right, guys, group photo. All right, everybody get in." And I would act real official. I would act real official and tell everybody to get in, take a photo. It was crazy, bro. I was flexing that whole weekend. But I used it to get into certain rooms and certain environments, and I kept acting as the photographer. You know, I was like, "Hey, I just want to take a couple photos, grab some content." Da, 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 da. So I was flexing hard body. But that interview with their team, I was pouring my heart out. I was like, "Yo, I gotta get featured." Like I don't, you know. And I was being honest and genuine. I wasn't lying, but I was just like, let me give them my heart and soul on this call because I want them to like the fact that they're gonna feature me, right? I want them to have that energy, like, "Yo, this is a good feature." Not like, I mean, I guess your story's okay, but not that moving, right? You know what I'm saying? So to be able to tell them, like, right now, I am standing in New Orleans in a hostel talking to you on this call. Like it was just this epic situation. And in the book, page 54 of Gary V's Crushing It, you'll see they talk about Essence and he was da-da-da. Like they go through the whole nine. And, you know, it was powerful, man. Like 2017 was when I think it was either 2016 or 2017-ish that the interview happened. And then the book didn't drop till like the next year. So, I mean, to be honest, like they could have took my part out. Right? Like that's a possibility, right? Hey man, sorry, you didn't make it, right? We had better stories, something happened, one of the writers goofed, but I got a DM from, I guess Gary sent the book out in advance to a whole bunch of different people to read, and I got a DM from a guy, I forgot the guy's name, but he was like, "Hey man," and he sent me a screenshot. He's like, "I read about you, bro, and like your story is like incredible, guy, like good luck to you, man. Like, keep crushing it." You understand? And I was like, "Ooh, your boy got the feature," because I didn't know. I didn't know if I got in or not, right? Even if the interview went well, they could have been like, "No, we good." Right? Like, I don't know who else emailed Gary and said I want to be in the book. So God is great, man. That opportunity opened up and it just changed, you know, just my movement. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, in some cases too, I after that season, I did consume Gary a little less because I said, okay, cool, I'm in his book. Now I really need to go to work. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't be now featured in his book and I'm kind of still moving the same way and still kind of like almost slowing down. So I was like, I got to hit the paint even harder, right? Like this is my first time I've been able to like ball out in public. Outside of the Essence stuff is great. I'm like, okay, cool. What's next? And boom, the Gary V thing happened. And then this past February, I just got my first TV, like actual television feature, right? So I'm like, boom, boom, boom. You know, like everything, every year, something crazy happens despite just Rona, right? Every year, something crazy happens, and I'm like, all right, God, like I see what you're doing. You're just saying, be consistent, right? Trust me, right? Leave it in my hands because if you, you know, as far as like, you know, if we're talking sports, you know, to go with your platform, if God is my coach, right? I need to trust him that he's making the right movements and telling me what to do as, you know, the QB to go out and execute, right? For me to get my Brady on, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he needs to be able to know that I need to be able to trust my coach. And if my coach is saying, hey, do this, this, and this, or look, just get out there and do your best, and that's all I'm asking for, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know my steps are going to be moved in the way that they should. So every year, something dynamic happens for the brand. And I've said this over and over. You know what I'm saying? Back when Foolies was just, you know, a T-shirt, dirty T-shirt being ironed on, I was like, we're going to be a big deal, right? And nobody saw it. I had people clown me. Don't start no T-shirt company. Everybody has a T-shirt company. Nowadays, like, people don't even know I'm moving in ways now, like where other people are hiring me to help them get their brand popping or to help them keep their brand on top because they've seen what I've been able to do with my brand, which is phenomenal. So I'm thankful to God. You know what I'm saying? I will not take any of this credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm cool, but it ain't me per se. That's why at the end of all of my videos, if you ever see anything I do, I say it ain't about me, it's about God. Because I know who got me. But like, it's just, It's just how you got to think and how you got to move. That's why we love these athletes. That's why we love these dynamic people. That's why we love the Oprahs. That's why we love all these, really high figures, is because they're relentless, right? They're relentless for their goals. They're relentless for their dreams. Everybody could tell them it's not going to happen, and they still think in their mind, nah, you wrong. It will. And they become the best. And we see it over and over and over and over. We always underestimate the underdog. And then the underdog ends up being the one that sweeps everybody. It happens. Like, this happens in sports. This happens in history. This happens in politics. Like, every time we sleep on somebody, we get corrected.
Yeah.
So, look, as long as your grind is relentless and as long as you're focused on what you need to be focused on, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be cliche and say you'll get back up, but that is real life, though. Like, the reason why people hate cliches is because, one, cliches are true, and cliches are powerful, and three, cliches are simple, right? So if I say if you get knocked down, you get back up, it is literal, right? If you knock me down right now, I can actually get physically back up. But sometimes people don't want the gems to be that easy. They're looking for the 5 steps to success, the 20 reasons. No. If you stay focused, nothing will stop you. But it has to be relentless. You got to be willing to learn. You got to be coachable. You got to be humble. You got to be willing to, like, not saying eat dirt and be on some Gary V swag, but you got to be ready to, like, live with 80 of your friends in the crib, right? Or you got to be ready to live in a 4-bedroom apartment and not be able to ball out and have your own crib. Like, you can't buy J's right now, right? You got to hold off on that shoe fetish. Like, or you got to put money away to make sure that if you have that shoe fetish, that's the only expense that you're paying for. Like, things got to be sacrificed. People got to go. Things got to be rearranged. That's how the greats become great. And it sucks. It's not fun, but I can't get abs if I'm only working out 10 minutes of abs a day. It's not going to happen, right? It's my diet. It's my mentality. It's my habits, right? I got to ignore that pizza. I got to ignore that moment to skip the gym and get back to it. Kobe practiced 3 times a day, 2 times a day. Like, why? Right? And we saw what happened with his efforts, right? He wanted to make sure I was twice and 3 times as ready as my opponents, right? While my opponents practice once a day, I'm going to practice twice. Like, bro, you crazy. Like, I remember watching an interview where this guy, I forgot who he played, that this guy was in an interview and he was like, he was leaving the court after he was like, I guess they were about to play the Lakers the next day. I forgot what team it was. I think it might have been the Trailblazers. And he said he still heard the ball bouncing around after he left the showers. So he heard it. He went out to the court and he saw it was Kobe. So he actually went in the bleachers and sat down and watched. And he's like, Kobe practiced for like another 3 hours, right? And I guess the next game, Kobe put up like 50 or something crazy. And he went up to Kobe and was like, yo, what's up? Like, why were you practicing so hard yesterday? And he was like, oh, because I saw you walk in the gym. Like, that's it, bruh. Yeah. Kobe was like, I saw you. So mentally, I'm going to practice another 2-3 hours just to show you you're not on my level mentally, right? And, like, who knows how that impacted my dude during the game, where he's probably like, dang it, Kobe was in the gym 3 hours. Like, I'm watching him. Look, man, you got to have a different mentality if you're going after business, your career, right? You could be in corporate America. If you apply the same focus driven, like, mentality to your life, you can't lose. You can't lose.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, being in the book, who were some cool people that reached out to you? I know that's actually how I found out about you, and that's how we connected.
So there's one, right? Your boy Paul.
No, I'm sure you had some dope people reach out to you.
Yeah, man. I got a homie on here, man. His brand is called Be Limitless Today. Man, his name is Jarvis Cobb. I mean, he's not a celebrity yet, or he's not like a big guy yet, but really dynamic dude, man. You know what I'm saying? I love the guy. We've never met, but we've gotten on phone calls together and really chopped it up and just talked life. You know what I'm saying? And prayed for each other. And, it's been moments like that, man. I've had people just, it hasn't been like celebs per se. But yeah, I've made some, cool friendships. I think me and Jarvis, we're probably one of the few friendships that's continued. because some people reached out to me in the height of it and was like super excited, and they faded away,
Yeah.
which is okay, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people who follow Gary, I can't control who they are at their heart. So I've had people like, all you do is talk about black people all the time. I'm out of here. I'm like, all right, bro, peace. Like, it is what it is, bro. This is my brand. This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean I hate anybody, but I know my demographic. I know my audience. You know what I'm saying? So I focus on who I focus on. You know, but that was their personal things. But for me, man, I mean, yeah, man, it's been, you know, people like yourself, people like Jarvis. You know, there's a lot of just like smaller moments, you know what I'm saying, that has happened. And really, man, like what's been cool, man, my audience and my friends and the people I love, man, they've wrapped their arms around me, and they're so proud of me. And, you know, they've, you know, bought the book and like highlighted my page and tagged me on Instagram or tagged me on Facebook. So to be honest, man, like I'm just happy that my friends are seeing that, like, my growth from 2011, putting shirts on people's backs and taking it off, to now being on in Essence. And then now being like, if you Google me now, like I got features in Inc. I got features in Business Insider. You know what I'm saying? Like I have my own book now. Like I just love the fact that my friends who love me and who watched me for years, you know what I'm saying, have seen this growth in me as a man, not just as like a brand, but as a man. You know, they've seen this growth in me, and they've invested in me, right? I've had homies that's like, hey, bro, here you go, and threw me a couple hundreds. I believe in what you're doing. Go do something with that, right? And I think, you know, I have to be, you know what I'm saying, forever grateful, forever indebted, you know what I'm saying, to people who have just supported and wrapped their arms around me no matter, you know, if I was winning or not, right? And people still are like, hey, man, I bought some shirts, or hey, I bought something for my homie, or hey, man, like all my homies that have been reading my book and tagging me, like that's been beautiful, man, to have people like, yo, I love it. I've had homies call me out to, hey, man, that book had some typos in there, but hey, man, you doing your thing. And that's cool. I love that, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to be in a space where you can be called out, right? So that you can step your game up. But, you know, there's a really dope lady. Her name is Danielle Leslie. And she's someone I've worked with. Definitely go look up her brand, because she's a phenomenal Black woman, young millionaire a few times over. She's a game changer. And, you know, she has a quote that other people have, I'm sure, said or whatever, but she always says, done is better than perfect. And I believe that wholeheartedly, because we get so caught up on perfection and things being right and all the ducks being in a row. Like, forget all those silly analogies, right? Like, done is better than perfect. My book is not perfect, but it's done. I almost didn't drop the book, but I almost, I was driving to church because I work in production, and my brakes went out, and I almost went into traffic. Luckily, I didn't. And I was going to wait till March to drop my book, but I said, you know, God wants me to move and drop this book in January. So I switched the date from March to January. It was like right in the New Year's season. So I almost was like, you know, I was like, man, if I would have died, right? Knocking on wood, you know, whatever. If I would have died, and somebody would ask, hey, why didn't Nemo put out his book? Oh, because he didn't have page numbers in there, because it had a couple typos. And it's like, what? You think that would sound so crazy to think, like, you didn't put out your book because you didn't have page numbers and a couple typos? You tripping, bro. You tripping. So I dropped the book in January. Now think about this, man, how you know, I don't know if y'all believe in God or not. I'm going to tell you what I believe in. I believe in God, right? So the book drops January. In March, we locked down. If I would have dropped that book in March, if I would have dropped that book in March, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the book wouldn't have sold. Not because the book isn't good, not because there aren't gems in there, but people got different things they got to worry about right now.
Yeah.
They don't have time to think about my book. They got to think about their family. They got to think about their friends. They got to think about their loved ones. They got to go fly to maybe go back home. There's a lot going on. So my book happened when it should happen, right? And a lot of us are holding on to things, and we need to release it now. We need to actually drop it today, because the more we hold, like this book, like I've had friends call me and say, hey, man, I'm starting to write my book. I had a homegirl finish her book. I had another homeboy finish his book. He said, my book's been done. But he saw the fact that I finished mine. His name's Vernon. I love him. That's my brother. We talk like every day. He's like, bro, I got to drop my book now. And his book is dropping soon. I already purchased. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, look, we got to let our gifts fly. Because if we don't, we're impacting other people, man. We're literally in a line. I said this on my Foolies Fridays episodes. Go on YouTube, check that out. I said it on Foolies Fridays. We're in a line, and in the front of the line is me or you. And we have to go live out our dream. But to live out our dream, that means we have to jump off a cliff, like a physical cliff. But if we don't jump, we're going to hold up the rest of the line, right? And if you ever look up this image, it's kind of cool because some people might have fell, but then there's another, in the same picture, you see people with like, they jumped, but then they kind of come up with like these hang gliders. So there's people like flying and soaring because this is what happened when they took the leap, right? They didn't end up falling, they ended up soaring. So a lot of times we think because we take a leap that we're going to lose. No, you know what I'm saying? Like your leap could lead to you winning and impacting others, right? 2 other people, we're not talking about the world. 2 of my close friends are now, one has her book out. The other homie is pre-ordering his book right now. People are buying it. That's people in my circle that I needed to touch. So if we realize there's people in our circle, right? Don't think about the world and impacting millions. That's silly. Impact millions if you can, of course. And I'll never say don't do that. But what about the people right next to us, right? What about the people that are in our circles that we could be pushing and motivating to be better? That's where the gems are at. Forget all this other stuff of trying to be famous and social media influencers. I'm holding my homies down. Because if my homies ain't, if I'm not inspiring my homies to make new moves or changes in their life, what am I doing? At least that's how I operate.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel you on that woman's quote where I forgot exactly what it was, but yeah, you definitely got to put it out there, like you said, like, because even I do it sometimes, and I think it was this year or last year, and I was just like, sometimes I like save stuff to put out, like post on social media, just because I didn't want to put so much dope stuff in one day. But now I'm just like, yo, screw it, like I'm just putting it out because I forget or like something happens. So,
the worst that can happen is nobody checks it out. Who cares? Keep it moving.
Yeah. What's the future holds for Foolies? Like, what do you want to do? What's your goal?
You know, in the future, I hope and pray. I want to fund Black films one day. That's the goal. That's like one of the end all be alls. I guess my own version of Tyler Perry, if you will. Maybe not the huge studio, but you know what? I'll speak the huge studio into my life because I need to be careful with my words, right? So you know, I want to be able to fund Black films. I won't be necessarily on the writing side or anything. I want to be able to, like, if Ava DuVernay comes to me, right, or you know, even a homie that maybe it'd be a young director woman, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a Black woman with a dope script, and I could be like, hey, and she comes to me and she's like, I got this like Star Wars Black sci-fi joint I'm trying to do. I'm like, yo, let's run it. You know, how does $250,000 sound, right? Like I'm trying to be able to be in that bag where I can say, is $250,000 too little? All right, we'll triple that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and be able to green light, you know what I'm saying, films, because Hollywood always looks at things as, is it green enough, right? Meaning, is the dollar right? And so I want to be able to fund Black films. And please believe when I'm funding these Black films, they will be in my shirts. Unless it's like a Star Wars kind of movie, right? It don't make no sense to have on a Foolies shirt no Star Wars film. But if it's like a regular, everyday, you know, living life, you'll see. I won't have to reach out to anybody anymore and say, please feature me. I will fund the films, and then I will put my shirts where they need to be.
There you go. So yeah, I asked you a bunch of questions. You got any questions for me?
For you, man, you know, people may not like know you per se, but just like, you know, how do you keep pushing? Because you're you're not, at least from what I've seen through your personal page, you know, saying like you're not, so I guess I don't want to call you like disabled, but you're not in the ability to just move like the rest of us humans can just move. That's not, you know, saying that's not what you've been dealt. And so for you to, you know, not have, you know, the normal capabilities like most people, you know, why would you even care to start a brand or to inspire people? Because you could say, look, man, I got enough issues, right? Like I don't need to be in anybody's way. I need to actually stay quiet and stay to myself. But what makes you say, you know what? Despite my, you know, my new ability, I don't want to call it a disability, but despite my new ability, I'm gonna still keep pushing for this anyways. Why?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny now because I was just kind of talking about it the other day, and just like now during like I don't drive or anything, so now during this pandemic, it's like it's not that unnormal to me because obviously, I mean, I go out and stuff, but like being home and working from home, that's like my normal stuff
Yeah,
because I do everything like from home. So yeah, I mean, I just made PG Sports I started while I was in college so I had something while like after I graduated instead of starting like after graduation. And
yeah,
then yeah, I mean everything. I mean I always wanted to be a sports agent, so that's what I'm still working towards now. And I mean I don't know, pretty much everything happened without like planning it out almost. Like obviously like the t-shirts just happened, and from there I'm doing media stuff. Now I'm doing like interviews like this because of Corona basically. So I mean
yeah.
yeah, it just keeps on. I don't know. I mean, just pretty much everything just happens. Like I'm not really
Yeah, I
like
mean, but like I said,
I don't. Yeah,
you could say no. I don't want to do this. I have other issues,
yeah,
right? I got bigger things I got to worry about. I don't need to be like on social media giving y'all content, pushing this brand,
yeah.
because I'm not living. You're not living a normal life like the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, granted, it's your normal, right? But
Yeah.
you know, you could have turned that into like a, woe is me, I hate the world, but you didn't. You know why? Or what kind of keeps you driven?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know because I mean, I guess it's probably because I haven't been in a wheelchair all my life.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I live both lives, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So it's like I know both sides to the story almost. So it's like
Hmm.
that's why it's like you said, it's my normal. So it's like I don't know any better.
I understand.
So
I
I
understand.
don't know if that answered the question. To answer your
I
question,
mean, hey,
sort of.
look, like you said, for you is you just keep going. You know
Yeah,
what you're supposed to be doing.
yeah, yeah,
And I
exactly.
definitely pray,
Uh,
I definitely pray that you do become, saying that sports agent, and I'm not that I'm inspiring you per se, but I would say that starting Monday, start DMing some people and be like, hey man, I want to manage you, right? Like, might as well go into high gear. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's the
yeah,
goal, hey, let me start. I need to find one person I can manage this week, and then if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, but like, I need to get this started, right? Because you might have a bigger gift to really help these athletes, not just be great athletes, but to be able to go beyond athletics, right? Because I think at the end of athletics is really when your athletic career begins, in my opinion. Um, so yeah,
I mean, yeah, at the end. I mean, when it's all over, you mean? Like
yeah.
their
I mean,
career.
because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, there's entrepreneurship you can go into
yeah.
and speaking and
So
all that
yeah,
stuff. But
yeah. I mean, I'm
a lot
basically
of
already
athletes
like
don't know
doing
what to
stuff
do
like that
after they.
too.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just saying a lot of athletes don't know what to do after they're done.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm actually doing a lot of sports marketing right now. It's just, but like the agent thing is my super goal.
Yeah, for sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Um, well, we got 40 seconds, so I appreciate you coming on. And yeah, because I just the thing just popped up in my thing and it's like countdown.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, appreciate you coming on, and yeah, we'll definitely be in contact. And good luck with everything, and
Hey,
hopefully all
man,
this
ditto, man.
ends soon.
Reach out to me for whatever, bro.
All right,
Peace.
I'll see you.